What is up, people? This is the Full Coverage Football Show. We already ran through this once, but now we're inviting you into the background of the scenes. You're behind the curtain now because we were talking here about how shitty we are promoting our show. And then I didn't even hit the go live button. And Drew's like, wait a second, are we even live right now?
Because I was going to promote it on the social media handles, and I'm like, well, I can't find it. And then I was like, dude, are we live? But we are now.
I'm talking to my boy here. I'm not paying attention to that. Anyway, welcome into the Full Coverage Football Show. My name is Jeremy Somerville. Follow me on Twitter at SomervilleCLE. That is my co-host, Mr. Drew Ward. Follow him on Twitter at DetroitDave7. Follow the show if you want at FCFS Pod.
Please.
Like the page on Facebook. Subscribe on YouTube. Share a page with Sharon Nicole and with the boys or the ladies. And do it to help us out. Because like we said, we are shit at promoting our own show.
We'll do better. We're going to do better.
But hey, once you watch the show, it seems everyone enjoys it. But we got to promote it a little better so that we can get a bigger audience here. But like I was telling Drew and the people who are watching, because we wanted to listen to that countdown one more time, apparently.
It's great. Like, I can listen to, like, if that was hold music, I'd be all in.
Bobbing, and got the end. It starts to speed up a little bit. But anyway, if you're watching this, listening to the re-air later on any of the podcast pages you can go to, Spotify, iHeart, Google Pods.
Everywhere, pretty much.
Anywhere. You can even say, hey, Alexa, play the Full Coverage Football Show, and then pop up, you hear our lovely voices, and we will talk football with you. Now, I know you guys are tuning in anyway, and hey, if you do share it, let us know, and you can be entered in a chance to win the football jersey of your choice. So hit us up. But I know you were coming in on this show expecting AFC North, continuing on with all our division previews. But you know what? We are doing what a good quarterback does. We're calling an audible at the line. Like, we are coming in.
There's too much going on.
It is time to get a little nasty here and legally tamper with some things. It's a good time to legally tamper, if you know what I'm saying. No, it's nothing dirty. No hashtag Me Too or any of that. Legal tampering period coming up here in the NFL. Sunday night, technically Monday morning, midnight, and legally tamper with some dudes. Yeah, sounds a lot more fun.
There's been a lot of illegally tampering taking place. I guarantee it.
Oh yeah, there are already deals being worked. We know that's how it works.
You know when the clock turns, it's like boom, 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 boom. It's like, oh, that's where you guys weren't talking before, huh?
Oh, you didn't franchise them? Hey, well, you know what? Then we're going to take a run at it. Now there has been some deals already made. We know that the Lions have signed Tyrell Williams. We talked about that last week. Matt Milano back to Buffalo, 4 years, $44 million, 24 guaranteed. The Bears, they're like, hey, we found a non-double doink kicker in Cairo Santos. Had a hell of a year for us last year. Let's give him a big deal. 5 years, $17.5 million. Basically breaks down to a 3-year, $11 million deal. The Saints, they released Janoris Jenkins. They released Emmanuel Sanders. The Chiefs, they're like, hey, this whole salary cap. They're like, we got one guy who's a doctor. We don't know if he's coming back at guard. And then we got our two tackles. And, those were our stalwart tackles. We had them in the Super Bowl. Totally different thing, right? And they're like, nah, we're going to let them go. $18 million saved. They're still $3 million over the cap by releasing former number one pick Eric Fisher, as well as right tackle, who this guy is probably the best right tackle in the league when healthy, and Mitchell Schwartz. And he's a free agent now. Gonna get paid for sure as long as he's healthy. And the Houston Texans also went and did something.
We don't care about them. We'll talk about that for a second. The Texans are a joke. Jump back on the Chiefs real quick. Of course, we're in this COVID BS or whatever, but when you go out and you pay Kelsey and you pay Mahomes, is this sort of what the Chiefs are going to have to do? They're going to have to draft an O-line. They're going to have to try to put some cheap pieces together because you're letting letting Fisher and Schwartz walk is that's got to be tough, man. Especially, you're trying to protect what is the most valuable asset in our league.
Basically, you're letting go the protectors of a $500 million investment. But when you look at what they've done, it's paying Kelsey, paying Mahomes, paying the Cheetah and Tyreek Hill, paying these guys. It's going to hurt them eventually. But you have to also look that $16 million less in salary cap than this year. Usually it goes up. If it goes up, they're still fine. But this $16 million difference from 198.5 to 182.5 due to COVID. And if you want to know how the salary cap works, I can't tell you that.
Talk to somebody smart about it.
I mean, I'm not smart enough to do that. Kalen Keller, who covers the Cardinals, I'll retweet the article, wrote an excellent article on it.
It's an ever-moving piece. You know what I mean? It's like an ever-moving number. Like, and that's especially with these restructuring of contracts and like it's literally a brain freeze at this point.
And you know, if the owners really wanted to, they could have been like, okay, you know what? Let it go up. The league could have said that because you know a new deal's coming in place. You know they're going to make money once COVID goes away, the pandemic's done, and they start filling stadiums again. You know that money's always going to be there, but the owners are like, you know what? We always got to make that money. We worry about us. That's why in the NFL, get your money when you can, players, because they can release your ass at any point, and you're stuck
doing it now. Yeah, this is a massacre of an off season. It's kind of fun to sit back and watch things burn. Like I want to sit back and watch the Saints situation burn down, because I just don't know like how they're over here tagging expensive ass dudes when they're like 70 million over the cap. Like, well, I just want to see how this plays out.
According to what I've looked at as far as salary cap numbers, Saints aren't even the highest over the cap anymore. They finally have come down. They're at about 25 million over the cap though. The Rams, after the Stafford trade goes through on Wednesday, next Wednesday it goes through because the league year officially begins March 17th, 4 p.m. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday till 4 p.m. Legal tampering, 4 p.m. You can start signing deals and make them official, plus any trade deferred. So the Goff for Stafford deal finally becomes official, and Jared Goff will officially be a Lion. And I know Drew's happy about that. Loves Jared Goff.
I do love Jared Goff.
But the Rams, 33.1 million over the salary cap. Saints, 31.9 as of yesterday. It's down to 25 today after releasing Janoris Jenkins and Emmanuel Sanders. Eagles, 26.8 million over. Chiefs were at 20.9. Now they're about 3 million over. Bears at 17.6 million over.
The one thing I find funny about all this is who's the team that's sitting up there with all the cap? Billy Belichick, dude. Billy's got all the cap.
They got it done.
It's like, yeah, they sucked, but something tells me Billy's like, I got the money and nobody else has any.
Problem is, he has no offense.
Well, that's true.
Offense is expensive. The crazier thing about that is, I mean, when you look at this list right now, there's teams like Bears, Eagles, Saints. I mean, who are those quarterbacks for those teams? And these teams are that high over the cap. Falcons 14.2 million over still. Packers 9.7 million over still. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 5.5 million over. So these are some decent teams, and they're Bucs, Packers, obviously NFC title game. Falcons, Bears, Chiefs. The Chiefs, obviously Super Bowl. Eagles, Saints, Rams. I mean, some good teams, some bad teams, all up there. Steelers finally under the cap in the AFC. But, I mean, you're right. Marcus May signs a 10 I think it's 11.38 million or something now will be, or not Marcus May, Marcus Williams signs his franchise tender. Once he signs that with the Saints.
Yeah.
I mean, how can you continue to spend money?
Right. Exactly. Marcus May, you're right, also got tagged.
Yes, he did.
In both safeties, very confusing. But the Bears, that's because you were bringing up the Bears situation. Mm-hmm. So the Bears are of the mindset where, you know, Russell Wilson or a Deshaun Watson can become an available piece of them. There has to be so many moving parts to make the money work, I think, in this situation. In like poor Allen Robinson, right? Like somebody save that man.
Another guy who got franchised when the team's over the cap.
Yeah. And so like it's like I look at the Bears and I'm sure that if one of either of those players became available, I mean, they would throw pretty much anything they could at it. But at the same time, it's very slippery slope in an offseason like this, trading for an elite quarterback like that, because you have to roster a team.
Yep.
And if you're already cap strapped, you're going to have to be sending back either big time players or ridiculous contracts when the other team, why the hell would they want to take on that?
Well, that's what makes Watson so enticing. Not only is he one of the best quarterbacks in the league, but his contract for this year is still only 10.5. So you have a chance. I don't know how that'll technically roll over. I don't have that up in front of me right now. But that deal this year is only 10.5 million only. But that fits for a team like that. If they have to trade for Russell Wilson at $35 million, you got to give in what? You got to trade Allen Robinson.
Well, right. Yeah, Allen Robinson.
And they're already talking about every pick. I mean, it's unbelievable how much COVID changed things.
Khalil Mack part of that deal.
Yeah.
I mean, we got to start talking about shedding serious cash. I mean, that's got to be one of the guys at the forefront. If I'm Houston, that's the guy that I want. I mean, I want him. I want Allen Robinson. Let's make this work. And I also want draft compensation because, again, although Houston, seems to be in somewhat of a predicament where their quarterback doesn't want to play or whatnot, but based off the market, there's still tons of value that they can get in return. And I think that the longer they sit on their hands and the more desperate teams become, the value continues to increase.
100%. I mean, I still think he doesn't go anywhere at the end of the day. But for the Bears, I mean, you have to give up everything you can. And as the Texans, you got to ask for everything you can get. And yeah, Khalil Mack, you would want him, but does that fit in Houston if that was part of the deal? I mean, maybe Khalil Mack works in any deal because he's that good, but is that a player you want? And as we say that, they signed Mark Ingram today.
Stud.
1 year, $3 million. I mean, now you got Mark Ingram.
Listen, dude.
And David Johnson.
You're signing guys. What are they doing? I mean, Mark Ingram is, let's pay it, right? Mm-hmm. He's on the back half of his career. His productions, I mean, 2 years ago, he was very productive. Last year, he was not. He basically got J.K. Dobbins was taking that role over anyway. They decided to re-sign the Gus the Bus. I don't know.
Around tenure.
Yeah. I don't know if there's anything to me that really says that Mark Ingram really has anything left. I'm sure he's fine, but if you're a Houston Texans fan, and I'm a Lions fan, and I don't have, I can't say I have less to root for probably. You at least have Deshaun Watson. But at some point, it's like, can an adult come in this room and fix what's going on? Well, you just signed the adults you thought. I mean, it's just a disaster. Clearly, this is Mark Ingram's. He's saying, I'm going to cash, a couple of checks here the back half of my career because you don't go to Houston to win football games.
No. And yeah, it makes sense that, his former position coach is now there in Houston. So they know him. He's comfortable and he's a great teammate. Yes. He's a guy who really just wants to win football games. But if you really, really wanted to win football games, is this the place to go right now? Probably not. I mean, it doesn't make sense. And for those of you watching the show right now, if you look at the bottom of your screen there, you have my top free agents available. A lot of guys off this list already from getting tagged or already getting signed. But let's talk about some of these free agents. You said it right there. Everyone who watches this show knows you're a Lions fan. Kenny Galladay, they didn't franchise him. As you said last week, you didn't believe they would. And it makes sense because by the time this team's good, he's going to be 31, 32 years old when that deal ends. Kenny Galladay, my top wide receiver, my top free agent available. What's a good fit for Kenny Galladay?
I think, one of the destinations that I've thought the Eagles make sense to me. Kenny Galladay is going to have options, though. However, the price tag for Kenny Galladay is going to be the issue. I do like Philadelphia. I could see him on the New York Jets. Again, a lot of these teams that are primed to win now don't have a lot of money to be spending on Kenny Galladay. And I think Kenny Galladay's market's weird. And I think the Lions were smart, again, to not tag him based off the value and their rebuilding. And we're in this weird offseason. Kenny Galladay is going to get a nice number, but I think, a couple of those teams, I would think Philadelphia, for whatever reason, feels to me like the team he ends up on, that or the Baltimore Ravens would be my other guess.
Absolute great fit for either one of those teams. I also have a team in the NFC East that I feel he would fit in great with, and they just released another former line in Golden Tate, and that's the New York Football Giants. I mean, they're going to run Daniel Jones out there. Danny Dimes looked okay his first year, struggled last year. They need a weapon there because the guys they have, they're solid. They've got solid weapons. I mean, when they're healthy, Saquon comes back. You had a Kenny Galladay who can open things up downfield and get the ball at a high point, which Danny Dimes is going to need. Maybe that's a good fit for him as well. But the Baltimore Ravens, I mean, as a Browns fan, as someone who knows that team, if they get that, guy who can catch the ball, high point it like that. That's a scary look. That is an excellent fit.
That's kind of what I think is Lamar kind of needs a guy like that, because Lamar is not going to be a tight window thrower of the football. It's just not who he is, and that's fine. He doesn't have to be. The interesting thing, you bring up the Giants, and the Giants have pieces, right? They have Darius Slayton. I mean, there's guys, Evan Ingram. It's just all come down to health, and it just hasn't all been there. And it comes down to Daniel Jones. At times looks good when he plays the Lions, but at other times he looks lost. Saquon Barkley being back will definitely help, and it'll help Daniel Jones for sure. But yeah, I could see that there. It's just, I think to me, Baltimore makes a little bit more sense. I don't know if the Giants, of course, on paper say they believe in Daniel Jones. I just don't know if they do. And I don't know if you're going to go out and spend that money on a wide receiver. I don't know if it makes him that much better. Where I do think it makes Lamar Jackson, give him somewhat of a security blanket to at least throw up a 50-50 ball, because Lamar has a tendency to just to be scared to even put it up into coverage. If it's not a perfect open window, he's hesitant to get out and try to get to the edge. So I do like the fit in Baltimore, and I also like the fit again in Philadelphia for some of the same reasons. They don't really have that guy now. That receiving core is turning around. Jalen Reagor is hopefully going to be good for them. But again, that's kind of an offense that's up in the air. I think they need kind of that X guy, and Kenny Galladay could be a good fit.
For the system in Philadelphia, the system that they're going to run, because they like the system there, as Nick Sirianni said in his opening press conference, where dude looked nervous as hell. But he definitely likes the system. He's a system guy who thinks they run a system. The system works. Must have said system, 38 times? I'm pretty sure that was the word.
He was beyond nervous.
Yeah, Philadelphia, that works absolutely, because Jalen Reagor, I'm high on him. I think he'll be good. But you've ran out there with Deshaun Jackson hoping to catch lightning in a bottle one more time. Alshon Jeffrey, who I feel like he's been in the league for 20 years.
By the way, can Deshaun Jackson shut the hell up? Deshaun Jackson's like, best deep threat receiver ever available. It's like, bro, just stop. You play 3 games a year. Like, nobody's trying to hear all that.
No. I mean, best deep threat available. I mean, no. Give me Kenny Galladay right now. Give me Tyreek Hill over him all time. I mean, doesn't make either one of the top lists there. And I mean, if you're really talking about deep threat and you want a guy that's pure speed in the mold of Deshaun Jackson, look at my 6th guy on this list, and Will Fuller, another guy who, when healthy, puts up numbers. And this is a guy who
Will Fuller was healthy last year.
Yeah, and he did damn good things.
And before that, even though he was hurt all the time, all he did was catch touchdowns. I mean, that's what the guy did. Yeah, Will Fuller is an interesting one. Again, Houston, like Deshaun Watson's like, why the hell would I stay here again? You know what I mean? Like, looking on the outside, it's like, who am I throwing the ball to? Oh wait, I got Mark Ingram. I got Mark Ingram. Okay, who can't catch the ball in the backfield.
Don't forget they've got David Johnson there.
Yeah.
I mean, if this was 2016, sign me up for those running backs in fantasy. It'd be great. But, I mean, come on. It's 5 years ago. We got to move on at that point. And, I mean, Deshaun Watson's looking at his roster right now. He's got to go on Madden and get the newest update to figure out who his teammates are at this point. It's stupid. And, by the way, little break here. Madden 21 available on Xbox Game Pass, so I downloaded it because it's free because I paid for Game Pass, so my kids could get some games, right? And I was going to say, I'm not buying Madden 21.
I've yet to play Madden 21.
Yeah. You and I have talked about this, Madden 21. I'm not buying it. You're not buying it. Neither one of us bought it. Free download. I downloaded it. It's every other Madden. That's it. I mean, I'm like,
we need NCAA football immediately.
There is a guest who could be on the show within the next month who has inside information.
Does he have a copy of the new game?
Nope. But he's got inside information on when the game will be released, and it'll be, I believe, said July of 2023 when I talked to him earlier. More on that later. I'll bring that up. So July 2023. Yeah, 2 years.
More than whatever.
Yeah, I was like, wait, that is 2 years, and it is 2021. Throws us off. I'm still stuck in the 90s. So what do I know? Moving back to our free agent list here. Number 3, Shaq Barrett. Coming off the edge. Look at the way he changed the Super Bowl. Is he going to leave Tampa, or is Tampa going to do everything they can to keep him?
What do they do? I mean, there's got to be serious restructuring. We talked about Tampa's, cap earlier.
Yep.
Shaq Barrett deserves money. Shaq Barrett has gone there and been, by the way, changed his career.
Absolutely.
He's been fantastic. But again, when you go out and you tag Godwin, you sign the linebacker who's
Levante David,
who's a stud. Like, eventually you can't, it's Bruce Arians, I'm re-signing you. You're coming back. You're coming back. It's like, well, okay, but not everybody can come back, right?
No.
And so I would love to see him back because, again, are you going to tell me you don't think Brady can do this again, run it back? I'm not going to hear that. I'm done doubting that guy.
Yeah, you can't doubt him anymore. We're past that.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's tough to see him come back for me. Do you think that they try to find a way to? I mean, I'm sure they're going to try to find a way to make it work, but where do you think he eventually ends up?
I mean, if you're a team out there and you have a defense similar to what they run in Tampa, you have to do everything you can to try to get a guy like Shaq Barrett because pass rushers. That's what you need in this league. Yes. You need pass rushers. But as a Tampa Bay Buccaneers and as Shaq Barrett, knowing how your career changed going there, you got to make things work. But what moves do they make? You got to look at their salary cap. Do they move on from Mike Williams? Is this franchising Chris Godwin saying, this is the guy we want going forward? Mike Evans, great piece, but if we can get something for him, do you try to move on from him now or do you keep Mike Evans?
That's hard for me. And I know receivers are expendable, but Mike Evans has been a staple and a consummate professional for that team. And he became one of Brady. I mean, that's the go-to guy. I know Chris Godwin's kind of the emerging guy, but man, I'm thinking Evans. Of course, Brady wants OBJ. Brady wants everybody, according to people who talk. But again, are you going to give up Mike Evans? Is that going to be a thing you're going to let walk? That's hard for me to see happening. But again, do I value a defensive end that can disrupt the passer? Absolutely, I value that over a wide receiver. Mm-hmm. However, I just think what Mike Evans has meant to the Tampa Bay franchise and the team alone. I mean, he's been a Hall of Fame talent player at his time there. It'd just be hard to see them go off of him.
Yeah, and apparently when I was saying pass rushers, I said pass rushers. Got a text on that. Sorry, I stumbled over my words there. Pass rushers.
People are very critiquing.
Yeah, it happens.
I don't think anybody's texting me yet.
Pass rushers. So the pass rushers, you got to get to pass rusher because if you don't have a pass rusher, you can't win. Important. Keep a pass rusher, get rid of the wide receiver. Yeah, I'm with you on Mike Evans. It's hard to say, but if you had to pick one of those guys or another high cap number there in Tampa, Shaq Barrett's got to come back. JPP is going to be back. If you want to win, you've got Tom Brady. You've got quality guys on the offense, and you know that they're going to probably bring Antonio Brown back. Gronk will be back because these are the guys.
You think Antonio Brown's coming back?
I think he is. I think that's
what kind of deal. I know this is what kind of deal does that look like? Is this a 3-year deal?
1 year deal.
You think he's going to come back for another 1 year deal?
Do you see any team right now honestly giving him multi-year deal?
I don't necessarily think yes.
Mm-hmm.
Man, if they could snag him for another. But listen, hey, we talked about this. Brady was the one that was in his court the whole time when he was going batshit crazy, which I kind of missed the batshit crazy Antonio Brown. I'm not going to lie.
Take care of y'all chicken.
Yeah, the no white women or whatever he was all about. Like, I missed that stuff. Like, this dude was just off the rails. But even in New England, Brady wanted him in. The first thing we heard when Brady got to Tampa was Antonio Brown's coming in, and Bruce Arians. Oh, we're not signing Antonio Brown. It's like, well, yeah, you listen to Tom Brady. We're gonna bring Antonio Brown. So I could see that, but man, you make a good point. I don't know if there's necessarily a huge market out there for him. If he would come back on another 1 year deal, of course you do that. If you're the Tampa Bay, and if you're Antonio Brown, maybe you do it just to prove that you've kind of taken the next step and that you're willing to you're worthy of a 3-year contract come 2022.
I think the thing is that changes everything is the salary cap this year. That $16 million less, the fact that you're going to have a lot of guys who are going to bet on themselves this year. I think the second tier free agent wave You're going to see guys take 1 year deals, 1 year where you just say, you know what, I know I'm taking the risk here, but I'm going to bet on myself. I'm going to bet on my health. And then next year, that salary cap could go up what? You think about it, it's going to go past 198. Maybe it goes up 30 million for next year. There's going to be guys who want to put in the work, who want to bet on themselves to make more money next offseason.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like stadiums are going to be filled here. Some states are just saying, F it, man, we're rolling, hundo, which you love to see unless you're the COVID dude, which it's fine too. You don't hate to see it, but I'm excited to see full stadiums at football games. And I'm sure owners in the league are excited to have full stadiums at their football games. And you're exactly right. You expect revenue to spike coming into next season after, whatever this crazy year that we've had is.
You get the revenue in, you'll get a new contract, a new TV contract, which is going to be huge because ESPN's trying to get Sunday Night Football again. They were better with Sunday Night Football.
No. Wait, Angela, what is going on here?
Speaking of Gronk, did you see his Groundhog Day type movie? Gronk is an actor.
Is it like a real movie?
What is
like more than 5 minutes? It's like an hour movie?
We need something else.
I've never heard of it. If that's a real thing, then I'm in. I'm gonna watch it.
I mean, if Gronk acting, I mean, he was terrible as a analyst with Fox.
Well, he's not. He has a very specific role. He has a very specific set of skills. and
it's a nice way of putting
it. Analyst of on Fox is not one of them. Hype man, sure.
Wrestler.
Bouncer at a bar, yes. Wrestler, yes. Actor, I'm all in for it. I mean, I'm always in for a good laugh. But if that's a thing, and she said movie. So if we're talking movie, I'm expecting more than 10 minutes. If it's a whole damn movie, that's ridiculous. That I gotta see that. I want Gronk in one of those Hallmark Christmas movies.
Please leave your message for.
I was trying to call her, trying to get Angela on here.
I'm sure we could Google it
to join in. I don't have the separate screen set up, so we can't even watch a clip of this right now. I knew I should have set it up.
I'm going to Google it while we're talking, just because.
This has to be absolutely amazing.
I'm just Googling Gronk movie. Gronk movie.
Gronk as the crazy best friend at a bachelor party or in a rom-com kind of thing. I mean, I could see that. Maybe.
This is all right. What? I'm sorry to.
No, for this next segment, we're going to go to Drew's movie reviews. See how this works. By the look on his face right now. It's got to be great.
I just don't know what I'm seeing to appear in boss level. I don't know. This is something I need to look into more. There seems to be a trailer for something. I'm not real sure what I'm looking at here. We need Angela to step it back up.
So according to SB Nation, Rob Gronkowski is in a new action movie where he dies 140 times.
Is it called The Commuter?
Boss Level. The straight to Hulu movie Boss Level is streaming
straight to Hulu. Congratulations, Gronk. You made it.
And Gronk lasts exactly 2 minutes and 6 seconds before taking a knife to the head. He dies 140 times.
In the movie.
In the movie. I mean,
this sounds like the worst movie I've ever heard. So when she says, do you see it's Groundhog Day type? Not we're just getting all over the map now, but I do understand maybe what she's saying now is she just keeps waking up and dying. I
mean,
and that sounds like an incredibly awful movie, but I guess I'm in on it. I just yeah, okay. Right. Yep. There is a trailer for it here. I'm not watch it and commentate on it, but there is a trailer here.
We got 2 weeks until our next show because we're off next week and we're back in 2 weeks. 2 weeks from now, we're gonna start the show off with honest movie review of Boss Level, the Gronk movie. Matthew says movie sounds great.
Yeah, It sounds like, so just to give you, like an overview picture of like
Sure.
the header of the, just to try to paint a picture here for the people. It's a Hulu original film, Boss Level. It appears to be a good-looking gentleman, not Gronk, that appears to be ripped as shit and ready to beat some ass in some sort of a warehouse. So that's where we're at. Some ripped ass, good looking dude, Hulu original series film, Boss Level. There's not anybody really saying much about it because what are you supposed to say? We'll review that. Good for Gronk, heading out, and features Mel Gibson, Ken Jeong. Wait. Okay. This is like a real movie.
Like the dude from The Hangover?
Frank Grillo. I don't know who that is. You probably do. Yeah. Mel Gibson, who I'm guessing is like Mel Gibson. Just a guess.
There's another guy that just put in is your name Mel Gibson? We need you in this movie to get more people to watch it.
Ken Jeong, who's like that funny Asian dude, right?
Yep.
And then, did I say Naomi Watts?
No. I don't know. Naomi Watts, like the chick from The Ring?
I don't know.
From back in the day?
Among others. And Gronkowski plays a role as well. At the 35-second mark of the trailer, Gronkowski is shown mercilessly firing a gun from a helicopter. And that's all we're going to give you for tonight. We got...
This is the Full Coverage Football Show review of Boss Level, or no, preview of Boss Level. And that preview was brought to you and painted by the Rembrandt of words, Mr. Drew Ward.
This was filmed in Atlanta in 2018, actually.
Okay.
So I don't want you to think this is a relatively new movie. It just sounds it was planned to be released in 2019. Okay. And then in 2020, but due to COVID, it's going to be released in 2021.
Oh, man, we are so blessed. 2021. Yeah, Gronk.
Good for Gronk.
Gronk's a free agent in the movie business as well as the football business. And, I mean, once we watch this movie, we can't say what's going to happen with Gronk's NFL career until we watch this movie and really know what kind of award he is going to be up for.
I can't believe I didn't hear about that. So,
neither did I.
How was Mel Gibson in a movie? Rob Gronkowski. What is happening?
How many Oscars are we talking here for Gronk? He succeeds at everything he does.
Is Mel Gibson hard up for money?
Yeah, I think.
Where are we at? I know this has become the full actor football show. But anyway, that's super weird. Thanks, Angela, for putting that to my attention.
Is Mel Gibson turning in the new Nicolas Cage where he's hard up for money from like 3 divorces and child support, and he's in every movie?
Yeah.
Where you watch some random straight to video or straight to streaming cartoon film, and all of a sudden Nicolas Cage is the random fox in the background.
Well, it's weird now because shit goes like directly to streaming. Mm-hmm. It doesn't go to like theaters and stuff. And I'm like I don't know all about that. I watch like 2 movies a year, but like movies with good people are like on Amazon and stuff. I don't know what's going on, dude. Anyway, Aaron Jones, running back for the Green Bay Packers. He is now a free agent. Heading to the Jets.
The top running back available, number 10 overall on my list. Think he's going to the Jets.
Yes.
Miami. I'm going AFC.
It was either Jets or Miami. That was actually my second option.
Both teams need her back.
Yeah. Think of like kind of what the Jets have gone through as far as running backs. So they like ran the shit out of Isaiah Crowell, right? Which was fun. It was great. And he had like a 280-yard game, and then he had like 4 like 10-yard games, which is kind of what he does. But then they're like, oh, hey, is that Le'Veon Bell out there? Oh, hey, Le'Veon, come on over here. We got this smart Adam Gase dude. We got this new flashy quarterback. Well, that was a complete dumpster fire. Now Le'Veon Bell is taking limited snaps, for the Chiefs. Is Le'Veon Bell kind of seems like maybe he's just going to just kind of swift his way right out to retirement. Not now. He's going to cash some paychecks. But you look at it, and it's like, I could see the fit, right? They could use a guy. I think Aaron Jones still has a lot to prove. And I think unlike a Le'Veon Bell or Isaiah Crowell, who was – listen, Isaiah Crowell is a nice back, but Aaron Jones is a young back who has, a bright future. Sometimes people go to the Jets and die. We just don't know there's lots of factors. Like, I can't sit here and tell you that he's going to be really good or bad if he signs with the Jets because we don't know who their quarterback is. We don't so it's like a lot of this shit that I see on the internet. It's like, oh, we're going to do this. We're going to do these drafts. I'm going to draft this guy. I'm like, how the hell are you going to draft a guy you don't even know what team he's on? You know what I mean? Like, how are we drafting guys already? I don't understand it. Like, I know there's like offseason this and that, but how am I going to draft a dude that hasn't even been drafted?
Mm-hmm. You got to know the fit.
Yeah, it's so important in this league. It really is. To
maximize the value of a guy, you got to know the fit. And Aaron Jones, I think, is a guy who can maximize the fit anywhere because he's got a nose for the end zone. However, we're talking, once again, salary cap down. The league, it's a passing league. Running backs kind of soured on big contracts for backs. What kind of money are we talking possibly for Aaron Jones?
I don't know.
Are we talking Zeke money?
No, we're not.
Are we talking maybe he's one of those guys who's like, you know what? I got to prove I can do it elsewhere. Maybe 1 year, $10 million.
I think Zeke's contract and money. I just think it still scares NFL franchises to pay running backs ridiculous amounts of money, and it should. And we've seen it. Like I don't mind paying Christian McCaffrey because he does two things. Like he's a multi-factor back.
And he did restructure his deal to save the Panthers some cap.
Yeah, and everybody's like, "Oh, what a great guy!" I'm like, "You still get paid." Like what are we doing?
They just moved it on to next year.
Yeah, exactly. It's kicking the can down the road. But for me, Aaron Jones, who's the highlight back in this class, I just don't see in this market, in this bloody massacre offseason, a back getting crazy money. I just don't see it.
I don't see it either. I mean, I think he goes to a team that's got money to burn. So it's got to be one of those teams in the higher end of the cap. I mean, as far as space, but if you're Green Bay, I understand you drafted a running back in the second round last year. Are you ready to give the ball to the bowling ball? Or you're like, you know what, let's see what we can do this year. Let's work out a 1 year deal. Do we can. We'll take care of you maybe coming down the road. Maybe Rodgers ends up retiring. Money opens up. And you're there with former first-round pick Jordan Love. Don't forget he exists, Packers fans. Could you see that? Maybe him returning to Green Bay on a 1 year prove-it kind of deal for 1 more year.
Here's what I'll say is Green Bay, who I hate, of course, they need to get their shit together with Aaron Rodgers here with this. I mean, it's time to put the chips on the table. Like, I get you always want to look out for your future, but it's time to surround him with some weapons, bring a back, like give him what he needs. I mean, what he's done with Devontae Adams is ridiculous, right? He needs – just give him somebody. Like, I get, like, you want to think of the future, but at the same time, look at what you have now. Like, my shit of a team, like, we don't ever play for Super Bowls, playoffs, we don't do anything. So, like, if we had somebody – I would trade any pick I ever had to try to win now. Like, throw your money in, do whatever you have to do to bring Aaron Jones back, to bring in some weapons, to make your quarterback happy. I don't know what the hell they continue to try to overthink this thing is. Aaron Rodgers, MVP, right? Pretty sure he just won the MVP of the league. Why are we not
46 touchdowns, 5 picks.
Why are we not surrounding this guy with talent? Like, what are we doing? Why are we throwing 6-name guys on the back of the jersey around this Valdez-Scantlings and who's a nice player? But, like, get me somebody to help. And if I'm Aaron Rodgers, who's awesome when it comes to you know, talking in the media because he's so, like, mellow and he takes, like, these shots. And it's like he takes pot shots at the Packers. Like, listen, you drafted a quarterback. I just went out and won MVP. Do you think that in the playoffs there we couldn't have used some more weapons and Jordan Love was the right pick there? Like, commit to your guy. Like, I get you want to build for the future, but this league, you don't get opportunities all the time to compete for Super Bowls, if ever.
And yes, they can argue, oh, he's 36 years old, 37 years old. But you're looking at Tom Brady at 43, Drew Brees at 41. Guys play into their 40s now because quarterbacks don't get hit as much. And guys like Aaron Rodgers, yes, you got lucky. You went from Brett Favre to Aaron Rodgers. Those guys, they don't come around often. Maximize the value, exactly what you said. But they've got to do something to keep that. And then the big deal, Devin Funchess is back. You forgot about Devin Funchess, who took the year off due to COVID. Devin Funchess, another big, tall guy, athletic, but never really done anything. That's that entire roster.
Anyway,
outside of Devontae Adams. And Robert Tonyan, also a free agent, really good last year, but 1 year wonder, and having
not even a 1 year wonder. It's Aaron Rodgers.
Exactly.
It's not a 1 year wonder. Robert Tonyan's going to get paid handsomely because of Aaron Rodgers.
Mm-hmm. Yes, everyone wants to say, he trains with George Kittle.
I don't give a shit who he trains. I could train with George Kittle. I'm 5'10". And I'm fat, and I have a beer gut. Like, what? I could train George Kittle. I would vomit and die, but I could say I did it.
I do 1 rep.
Yeah.
Let's do 1 rep of everything. I can do this. And then I'm going to go walk into that corner, collapse, and you can call the ambulance. I mean, they make a big deal out of it, and I get it. You want to think the best. And Robert Tonyan might end up being a good player. He gets open. Aaron Rodgers finds him. That doesn't always work, though. So you're right. Aaron Rodgers made that guy money. And Aaron Rodgers, hell of a football player.
He's made a lot of guys money.
Angela with more pop culture here. We're going, Aaron Rodgers is hosting Jeopardy. Thoughts?
Yeah. No, so here's the deal. I got to watch Aaron Rodgers weekly on Pat McAfee show, which if you haven't watched it, I can't even promote this damn show, but Pat McAfee show is damn good to watch.
For the brand.
For the brand, exactly. And you kind of got to like Aaron Rodgers over time on that show. And he's a Jeopardy nerd, and he's super nerdy when it comes to that stuff. And I think it's cool. Again, Jeopardy's in like this weird transition where like we don't know what the hell is going on. I don't watch Jeopardy because I can't answer any of the questions and I feel dumb as shit. But I don't have any problem with Aaron Rodgers being on it. But maybe there's some like Alex Trebek disrespect. I don't know. I don't know what the whole deal is. I think he'd be good. Although his personality is not like but again, you don't have to have like this flamboyant personality to do Jeopardy.
Katie Kirk's been doing it this week. She's been pretty solid. I'll give her credit. I mean, no one's ever going to touch what Alex Trebek did for 35, 40 years, whatever it was. But Aaron Rodgers, maybe, he's like, hey, I get good at this. More pressure on the Packers because he can say, hey, I'm going to walk away. I'm going to go host.
That's a thing.
I don't either. I'm just trying to – I'm Skip Baylessing this shit now because he got 4 years, $32 million. And I'm sitting here.
Rodgers on Jeopardy? Next on Undisputed. Is he going on to Jeopardy? Next on Undisputed. Jeez.
Unbelievable. I said it for years. Rodgers, he's going to leave the Packers. They drafted these guys if they would have picked up. Yeah.
Oh, God.
And then Shannon Tharp's going to go crazy at him, and it's going to be ridiculous. And it's just a mess. But, yeah.
Wait, Angela, when is Aaron Rodgers on? Actually, what is he on Jeopardy? I think he'll do fine. I wouldn't be nervous for him. And if he sucks, then he's a Packer guy anyway. Nobody cares. I don't know when he's actually on it. I'm sure I can Google it. But I do you watch a lot of Jeopardy?
I do. I love Jeopardy, and my kid watches it with me.
2 weeks. 2 weeks. Okay.
2 weeks.
Thank
yes,
you.
It'll air in April, beginning April 5th. New Jeopardy episode. So yeah, April, 2 weeks. Oh, April's like 2 weeks away.
Is he just hosting one, or is he hosting multiple? I'm assuming he's hosting multiple episodes.
Hosting dates April 5th through 16th. It looks like.
Okay, so yeah, I'm sure he's okay. Hey, Andy's engaged. I don't want to make this the Aaron Rodgers show, but like Aaron Rodgers like just secretly got engaged. Like, what's the deal? Like, whatever.
Wouldn't commit to Danica Patrick or
2 weeks. Wow.
I mean, who's the other one? Olivia Munn.
I just know Danica Patrick. But Aaron Rodgers is a different cat, man.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden he won't commit to them, and then like dates this girl for 2 weeks, and he's like, "Let's get hitched."
He's all right. I'm tired of talking about Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
Let's move on.
Before we move on from Aaron Rodgers,
damn it,
hot or not, Danica Patrick.
Hot? What are you doing here? You just gonna say Danica Patrick's not hot?
She's okay. I mean,
Jesus, what's the scale here? What are we putting on? Is it a 1 to 10?
She's not. I mean,
so if it's a 1 to 10 scale, what are you saying? Like a 5?
7, 6.5.
A 7 out of 10, Angela. A 7 out of 10. That's a decent score. That's a damn good score. It's a passing grade.
I mean, she's above average, but I mean,
okay,
she's not hot.
She's way richer than you. Richer, that goes into account, right? Lots of money has to go into account. 5'5".
Wow.
Damn.
I'm not even going that low.
Hey, listen.
When did this become TMZ?
I'm not. Listen. Exactly. I'm not trying to. I'm not saying she's a 9 or an 8 even. I was thinking 7.5, but I thought 7.5 was a passable score. I thought that was high.
I mean, not above average. I'll say that. I mean, there's just. I mean, I think it was mainly because watching NASCAR. The NASCAR boys like she's a girl. She can drive a car. She's a hot one.
Trent Williams,
number 2 free agent. Trent Williams makes sense. One place only. Indianapolis Colts.
Really?
Got to go there. If you're the Colts, get him. Protect Carson Wentz.
Yeah, Carson Wentz on the Colts is still kind of weird.
Yeah.
I actually like Miami.
Miami?
Yeah, Miami was my spot for Trent.
I can see that.
He did a prove it deal, man. And I remember, these times last year, you and I were sitting here talking about if Cleveland should make a move for Trent Williams and what his value was and what, draft compensation they could have made. And I think if we look back at it now and you probably would have liked Trent Williams, but maybe not at the value that was given at the time. But Trent Williams showed that he's still Trent Williams.
Trent Williams absolutely showed he was Trent Williams. I mean, he had 2 games where he had unbelievable blocks, hitting guys at the second level, throwing dudes out of the club. I mean, Trent Williams, he's like, hey, I don't know if you forgot, but I was really damn good. And I'm going to show you how damn good I really was.
He just said, Dan Snyder, your entire organization's bullshit. And I'm not going to play for him. I'm not going to play for him.
Absolute joke. Let's talk about my number 7 guy, edge rusher. I got him higher than a lot of people will probably have him on these lists because he's a Cincinnati Bengal who may be the most underrated edge rusher in the entire NFL, and that's Carl Lawson. Big Carl Lawson guy. But how are you letting him go if you're Cincinnati right now?
I don't think they do.
You think he comes back?
I think they work something out with him. Again, Cincinnati, you have your structure piece. This is the time to not necessarily let other pieces go. You have to build. We've talked about this so many damn times. You have a rookie contract quarterback. You have to throw the pieces in right away. I don't understand it. You have to build on the rookie quarterback contract because as soon as you pay the quarterback, you're so limited to the other things that you can build around them. Yes, you can structure contracts in a way that you could still build a nice team. But if you have a guy like Joe Burrow and you assume and you hope that he comes back the same Joe Burrow that we saw last year, they're going to add more weapons on that offense too. And that offense could be scary, right? I think you have to throw the chips in. You have to be able to retain the good players you have, and you have to figure it out.
I'm with you on that. For the Bengals, they say Burrow's going to probably be back week 1, it looks like. He's on pace to do that. That's incredible. Hope he is. That kid, unbelievable rookie year until he got hurt. Hopefully they do the right thing here and they get that guy some help on the offensive line. So they got the money to do it. They got the pick to draft Soul very early at number 5. Get him. Yeah, they got to bring back Carl Lawson. They already let go Carlos Dunlap last year. William Jackson, the third, also a free agent.
It's turning into a new team. No AJ Green. They're kind of going. They're building their own thing. And I'm listen. There's good things happening down in Cincinnati. They have to protect the quarterback. They have to protect the quarterback.
Yep.
They have 100%. To protect the quarterback. Like you almost got him killed last year. He almost you can't Joey Burrow is the real deal. We got to protect him. In him and T. Higgins, that can be a show. But you got to give him time to throw. That could be a rhyme. It was a rhyme. And you throw in Tyler Boyd as well.
If you're the Bengals, number 5 pick, Jamar Chase, Devontae Smith is sitting there. Guys like that, Kyle Pitts sitting there. Are you tempted to take those guys at 5, or do you say, no, we got to get Slater, we got to get Soul, we got to get the tackle immediately? Even though you had Jonah Williams come back last year, and he was okay, but might be better suited for the right side.
Oh, I'm not taking wide receiver. Listen,
I'm with you.
Those are luxury picks, and I get it. I think Jamar Chase is going to be a ridiculous player.
Stud.
And I wouldn't mind him with in the Honolulu Blue. I really wouldn't. But here's the deal. Again, you have this whole league's built off of quarterbacks. You have to be able to protect your guy, and tackles. You got to take the guy. You got to protect him. There's only and again in this draft, there's wide receiver depth. There is a lot of studs in this draft.
Like I said last week, I mean, 8 guys possibly could be good first round picks.
Yep, absolutely. And you still have T. Higgins there. They have weapons. I think the most important thing is to make sure that we get Joe Burrow through this entire second season.
Yep.
And this team's going to continue to grow. I think, again, once you find that quarterback, you got to just figure it out around it, but you have to protect him because you can't have that guy on the shelf again.
And as we're talking Bengals, a guy I got at my number 9 spot, another Packer, the number 1 ranked center, according to PFF, Corey Linsley. This is a guy who could go right to Cincinnati, day one, change that entire offensive line. But another guy that the Packers are going to let go that fit perfectly with Aaron Rodgers.
Wow, the fit makes sense. It's 100% for Cincinnati. Again, it's just the Packers had the opportunity, not this year. They had the opportunity to already build some of these core pieces as far as weapons offensively for Aaron Rodgers. And then we're just trying to plug other spots. But like right now, you look at it, and it's Devontae Adams. You have A.J. Dillon and Jamal Williams. I think are still under contract there.
Williams is a free agent.
Okay, so you have A.J. Dillon. Who the hell knows what A.J. Dillon is, right? He could. It looks like he could beat up an entire community like the Hulk. But again, you could have done. I think last year they didn't take one wide receiver, did they, in the entire draft?
No.
And I believe on our board, my board, wide receiver was one of the top needs for the Green Bay Packers. So again, it sucks that you're having to deal with this now when you probably could have spent some equity on this last year and been in a better position as far as what your offense could be.
When we come back in 2 weeks, the number, I think I got him at 13 on the board right now, Davian Clowney, guy who feel like lately he's been a free agent every single year. 2 weeks when we come back, is Jadeveon Clowney signed to a multi-year deal?
No.
With you?
No.
Is this
no way? No way. Why the hell would he be signed to a multi-year deal?
Is the shine coming off the diamond that we all thought Jadeveon Clowney was?
Yep.
Is he now just another guy?
Yeah. I could see him ending up in Billy Belichick's lap for a 1-year deal.
A 1-year deal where he plays outside linebacker and gets 72 sacks.
Yeah, not going to happen. I think Davian Clowney was one super awesome hit against Michigan and South Carolina, which hyped the hell out of him. Of course, he was the dominant beast in South Carolina, not putting down anything he did. And he was productive in the NFL, but again, look at the. I mean, he's been injured.
Yep.
He's not been dependable, and his numbers aren't as crazy as you think. And again, remember last year he came out here big D swinging, trying to ask for all kinds of cash,
$100 million deal,
and you and I were sitting like, this dude ain't getting nothing. And he didn't get any of that, and he got away. And again, he's going to have to take another 1-year deal because Jadeveon Clowney's proven nothing to anybody to sign him for a multi-year deal.
He's a solid football player.
No, he is,
and he gets pressures. But he's not putting up the sack numbers. Is he a difference maker? Maybe. But I think he really needs that other guy where J.J. Watt made him better in Houston. That didn't happen last year when they had no pass rush in Tennessee.
Whitney Merciless. And they had multiple guys in Houston at the time.
Those guys were playing at the top of their games at the time. Jadeveon Clowney, very good player. And edge rushers are always needed. But he's not that stud. He's not a Shaq Barrett. He's not as good as Carl Lawson. I mean, he's not that guy who we all thought would get the Myles Garrett type deal. I mean, that's just the truth of the situation. Talk about a guy interesting out here. Ryan Fitzpatrick. Fitzmagic, free agent. There's rumors that he was going to retire. We kind of refuted him in the middle of the week, and then we're like, I haven't heard it necessarily, but it sounds like it. And then big guys are talking about maybe he is retiring. It sounds like he's not retiring, so we're sticking with that. Ryan Fitzpatrick.
I'm gonna let you go on this one first. I got a team in mind, but
The team for me, let's complete that cycle through the AFC East. Let's hook up with the hoodie. Let Ryan Fitzpatrick go to New England. 1-year deal, 8 to 10 mil. Light it up. Go out there. Have some fun. Who you got?
I was thinking the Denver Broncos.
Ooh, over Drew Lock.
Yeah.
Or to play behind Drew Lock.
Well, for what, 5 minutes?
Yeah.
I mean, because listen, I honestly think with let's not forget that team's stacked as far as
Jerry
weapons
Jeudy.
offensively. Hamler, Cortland Sutton's coming back.
Cortland Sutton, a healthy Cortland Sutton. Ooh.
Yeah, who was my number one pick in
Noah
fantasy
Fant.
last year? Yeah, I mean, again, there's tons of weapons. I think he can plug and play in a lot of these situations. I mean, Fitz may come in as a backup somewhere, but I think he's a guy that you're like, if your guy goes down, you're like, yeah, I can still win football games with him.
Absolutely.
But I see your point with that. I can see him going to New England. My guy that I wanted to ask you about was Cameron Newton.
I mean, Cam, did you see his workout today that he had on? I think it was on Instagram.
I did not.
He's working around trash cans because he said work around what you don't want to be, and I don't want to be trash or whatever it was, something like that. I don't have the exact quote, so don't quote me on that.
Too late for the trash. You already are.
I think Cam's still a solid football player. He's not.
Whatever. Stop it, dude. That's bullshit.
He's
That's
not
bullshit.
a starter anymore.
Stop talking yourself into it. It's ridiculous.
I think Cam's a dude who can go somewhere. No, he can't throw. He's a solid football player, but not a solid quarterback anymore.
Okay, all right.
He can go somewhere and be a backup, a guy who you can bounce ideas off of. So if you have a young quarterback, maybe Cincinnati would be a great place for him. Let Joey Burrow bounce some ideas off of him. I mean, maybe a young quarterback type can learn from Cam Newton because Cam's still a hell of a teammate. But he's not a starter.
What price tag is Cam Newton at, though? That's
1 year, $5 million.
Yeah. Cam Newton had one of the greatest seasons ever in Carolina, right?
Yeah.
And I'm not going to but Cam Newton, injuries have ruined Cam Newton.
They have. Flipping his truck, breaking his back. I mean, tons of issues.
His arm is falling off.
It is.
You can't throw it down the field. He's a guy that is kind of, his greatness was plowing guys over and being able to pick up a yard anytime he wanted when he needed to. I just don't see it there anymore. I just don't. Somebody's going to sign him. I hope Cam Newton goes to the Bears too. And
Matthew Drayton. I hope Cam Newton goes to the Bears. Absolutely. Of course you guys would.
For Fitz to stay in Miami, but Miami can't do that. There's no way they can do that because they have to show their loyalty right now to Tua. They can't bring him back. They have to show Tua that it's his time. They got to unleash it to him, whether it's the right thing or not.
They got to show Tua it's his time by talking to every available quarterback too. Like Deshaun Watson's available, Russell Wilson's available.
But you have
a guy.
Okay,
I get it. It makes sense. But
I mean, with those guys, you have to. I mean, listen, Tua. Sorry, we're talking about top 5 quarterbacks.
Tua's working his ass off right now. He's hungry, and Tua's officially more than a year healed from that hip injury. I still think Tua's a hell of a football player coming up. Who gets a bigger deal, Cam Newton or Mitchell Trubisky? Next on Jeopardy.
Mitch.
Tough one. Mitch, 1 year, like $7 million.
Yeah, I think that so here's the thing that I think with Mitch. So Cam has been now in 2 different situations, right? We've seen Cam and we've seen him in New England, and we've seen him in Carolina.
But in New England affair, well, they had no one.
Okay,
but we also know he can't throw. So go ahead.
Exactly. So here's the thing that I think is we've seen Mitch and Matt Nagy's system, and there's always teams, there's always coaches, there's always quarterback coaches that think that they can fix a guy.
Yep.
Now he's coming from one system. We're saying, hey, we can take this guy. All he knows is one thing. We can hone him in. We can make him better. Now with Cam Newton, you say, listen, Mitch Trubisky, you know if you ever watch this show, you know my thoughts on Mitch Trubisky. I'm not saying Mitch Trubisky anything, but
if you haven't watched the show, he's a huge fan, so you know exactly, that. Favorite quarterback ever.
But I think that there's going to be a team that thinks that they can do more with Mitch Trubisky where he is at now when they look at Cam Newton, what he did in New England, whether it was a fair shake or not, it was what it was. And you saw, it's not like we didn't see his ability to throw the ball down the field. We saw it, right?
Yep.
We saw him be able to throw the ball. Now Mitch has not been great, but Mitch doesn't have an arm that's falling off at this point. It might not be a great arm, but it's not falling off. And I think that that's the safer bet of the two. As crazy as that might sound, because that's kind of where I'm at with Cam Newton.
Yeah. Now,
there
was coming out
last year that were telling me before last season that Cam Newton was going to have a better year than Baker Mayfield. That was a real conversation that I
remember
had,
that.
And that's ludicrous. Now, I mean, the thing was going into last year, we knew his arm was falling off. I don't know why everybody acted like they didn't know like what happened the year before. He couldn't throw the ball at all. It's not a knock on Cam Newton. It's just the way it's gone for him.
Now, coming out, Mitch Trubisky, I had him as, Alex Smith type quarterback. That was his ceiling. Thought he could be really good. And I think Alex Smith has had a great career at times. Now, Alex Smith wasn't great in San Francisco. Looked terrible. He was a bust until Jim Harbaugh came in, and he had a good year with Harbaugh, and then they dealt him and Kaepernick started. And then the rest is history because he was better with Andy Reid, obviously, and he was solid enough in Washington. Can Mitch Trubisky bounce back the way that Alex Smith did? Can he have that type of career? Maybe not as good, but be that type of player.
Are you asking if he can be a starting quarterback in the league?
Yeah.
Very bottom tier, basically where he's at right now. I mean, honestly. I mean, we always have to put in perspective. When we look around the league, there's always teams that are starting basically mediocre to ass quarterbacks. You know what I mean? Like, there's not 32 of these awesome quarterbacks, right? Like, we don't have too many of these things.
Trust me, we know that in Cleveland.
Exactly. You don't just find these guys, and which is, again, why I'm just saying, like when you're the Packers and teams like that, you got to go. Like, you got to do it now. Bengals, do it now. You think you got your guy, like, throw all the chips in. I think that he could potentially start, but I just don't think he's going to be a long-term franchise quarterback for any team. Which Cam Newton was. Cam Newton was. The argument is now.
Is Cam Newton a Hall of Famer?
No. Jesus, what?
Throwing it out there. Next, on First Take.
Yeah.
Right. Out of the free agents available right now, which player is going to get a huge contract and definitely not live up to it?
Juju Smith-Schuster.
Well, we are in agreement on that. I was thinking Juju's going to get a deal somewhere between 4 years, like $60 million, somewhere maybe 64, 65 million. But for me, Juju, I really like the player. I think he has talent, but I don't think Juju's a number one guy, and he's going to get paid like it. I'm with you on that.
He's not. Well, you can't. It's not if he's a number one guy. He's not a number one guy, right? It's no knock on Juju. I think he's a good player. It's just we've seen it. Like when AB was the axe, he's fine. He was great, right? But again, when you have that guy that draws so much attention, the number two guy is going to feed, and we saw that with Juju, and it's like in a number two on a team, if you can line him up across from somebody that's dominant like that and can make plays at the level that they say a guy like you line him up next to a Mike Evans, or not that he would ever go to, but a guy like that a game changing dynamic wide receiver, a Julio Jones, whoever the hell you want to say, then I think he's a very productive player. The difference is in Pittsburgh, it was a bunch of burner wide receivers, and he was the kind of the X guy, and he's not that player all the time. You need to be able to like move him around, line him up in the slot, things like that.
So if he goes to the Jets, which is a possibility, many people think the Jets are the place he goes. Can he go there and be successful with Denzel Mims across from him, with maybe Jamison Crowder coming back, do you think that's a spot that fits him?
No.
To teach the young guy in Denzel Mims, and maybe Jamison Crowder can help out in the slot.
No, and I think Jamison Crowder is proven that like he's actually a pretty damn good wide receiver.
Yes.
And he's a very underrated wide receiver. But in the fit that I think is even a little bit better is just across the road in the Meadowlands. I think that he could be a guy that could fit in with the Giants. I think that's slightly a better fit for him because I think although I like Jamison Crowder, I think there's a little bit more offensive talent there where he's going to have more opportunities. So I like that fit a little bit better. But I mean, I can certainly see the Jets. And Jamison Crowder has asserted himself as a really good wide receiver. Except when I played him in fantasy, then he would put up 20 yards. But I think either of those New York teams are kind of a nice fit for Juju. And you know what? Mr. Corvette, social media himself would love to be in New York, I'm sure.
Yeah, New York would be a nice fit for him personally, but as far as on the field, yeah. The Jets, I think, would be a bad fit for him. Even though I'm big on Denzel Mims, I'm with you. Across the river there, or in the same stadium, basically. Galladay, I think, is still a better fit for them. That's the guy they should go at. Anything else you want to touch on tonight?
Man, I don't know. So it's going to be interesting because we're still kind of in the early stages of these cuts. Is there anybody in particular in your mind that you think your team may let go of?
The Browns, they released Adrian Claiborne to save them $3 million.
I did see that.
Weird move for them because $3 million for a solid edge rusher backup
seems like not a lot of value.
Not a lot of money, but maybe they've got high hopes for Porter Gustin come back. I like Porter Gustin, high motor, but Adrian Claiborne, pretty damn good player, especially in situational pass rush. Browns, I think they're going to do more things like maybe restructure. If they can't come to an agreement to restructure maybe Sheldon Richardson's deal, maybe Richardson gets cut. I mean, what about over there with the Lions? Anybody?
Well, I mean, I think they've kind of done a lot of the dirty work kind of early on here, letting Romeo Okwara walk, letting Kenny G walk. They cut Justin Coleman today. They cut Desmond Trufant. I mean, it's basically just the shit show that Bob Quinn and Matt Patricia put together. Yes. And we're just trying to pick out the pieces. I wouldn't expect, and I certainly, if I do not want the Lions to go spend any high money on anybody, don't want to see it. Okay, we kind of know where we are here, and I think Brad Holmes and Dorsey and the boys, they got an idea. Like, we're gonna suck here, okay, and they need to. They don't need to be spending a lot of money. We need to go into next year. With some money like that. So I don't expect many more big cuts from the Lions. But again, the Coleman and Trufant, those deals alone right there were heavy price tags that the last regime brought in.
And they're really working. It sounds crazy to think that the Lions, who haven't been very good, are over the cap, but the deal with Stafford going to the Rams and Goff coming back, I mean, it's basically paying two quarterbacks $20 million plus. So that's why that deal worked out. And I don't expect your team to really build through free agency. They're going to get some decent guys. It's going to be interesting to see what Okwara gets because I don't know what kind of player he is still. Like, some of his sacks may have been – I mean, I don't know what kind of player he is. I can't say fairly that he's a guy who can get 10 sacks regularly.
And I get that, though, but at the same time, you also have to look at the pieces of that defense. It's an absolute shit show. They fielded an embarrassment, a freaking embarrassment of a defense. So, you think that he's on a team that's competent at all. I think he's going to be better. I mean, Matt Patricia, that guy just does nothing but ruin players defensively. I mean, Jeff Okudah looks like he's, I don't even want to get into it.
Hall of Famer before the draft, 5 minutes into his Lions career, he was a bust. I mean, I get it. Anyone else out there, what's going on with Drew Brees? We'll end the show with that.
He's toast. He's done.
Drew Brees going to retire?
Well, he's going to retire because the Saints are going to basically say, hey, hang him up, bud. And I don't think anybody else is going to make the call.
Everyone making a big deal out of his workout video again. I mean, guy's working out.
Listen, it's noodle arm at this point, right?
Yep.
I love Drew Brees. You got to be able to push the ball down the field in this league. And New Orleans has – you could say New Orleans with quarterback that's not Drew Brees, a better quarterback, wins a Super Bowl the last 3 years. Because their roster the last 3 years, in my mind, has been the best roster in the league. And so I think it's time. I mean, and I think New Orleans thinks it's time. I think Sean Payton thinks it's time. Oh, hey, Jameis Winston. Sorry, Jameis Winston.
Jameis Winston. 1 year prove it deal again. I think that's what it comes down to.
Where?
I mean, looking at teams right
Denver.
now.
I know I said Denver earlier, but give me Denver, dude.
Oh, Denver would be fun with Jameis.
Give me Denver, dude. Oh, man.
Off the top of my head, maybe I'm telling you, I don't know. I said it last year that I thought New England was a good fit. I think New England, if they get the right weapons, and Jameis, I mean, he's better than anything they have.
What about San Francisco?
I'm not big on Jimmy G. I've said it a million times.
I honestly am still a believer that San Francisco tries to make a deal maybe with the Lions to move up to get Justin Fields or something like that.
Justin Fields would be unbelievable with San Francisco. Trade Jimmy G to the Patriots. Sign Jameis. Why not?
I agree.
Pick your dream quarterback for your favorite team.
Are we talking all time? Are we talking this in the draft? Are we talking in the league?
I mean, I got my guy.
Doesn't see him, and he quits. So it's certainly not Baker Mayfield. If I could pick any quarterback in the league, for my favorite team right now, I would take Patrick Mahomes. All time. Ooh. Well, Tom Brady. Got to be Tom Brady. I guess Jeremy is he's gone. So we'll not know, Angel. I guess we're not going to know who Jeremy's favorite is here. But anyway, it was a good show. Thanks anybody and everybody for tuning in. We will be back in 2 weeks, as Jeremy said, and we'll see if he comes back here. For now, we're going to take off for the night. Again, thank you, everybody. Like, subscribe, all that good stuff. We appreciate everybody for tuning in. Let's see what's going on here. Oh, Jesus, Lord, are you outside? Okay, he's back, folks, to close this thing out. I was just closing the show out for us there. We lost you for a second.
Thank you, everyone, for watching. Sorry I disappeared. Baker Mayfield's my dream.
Yeah, we knew you were going to say that. Yeah, I'll take Patrick Mahomes. Fuck you mean? I don't know. Baker Mayfield.
Baker, baby.
All right, man.
Thank you, everyone, for watching. Appreciate it. We'll see you in 2 weeks. Remember, as always, if you live the life you love the life you live. Night, kids.